Let's give him a couple minutes, Coach. Oh yeah, they jumping in now. Hey everybody, if you on Scotty's channel, make sure you go down in the description. Go down there and select. Go over to Rocky's channel and make sure you join us on the HBCU Coaches Corner on my page as well, man. You can watch on Scotty's, you can chat over there, but make sure you like and subscribe on both channels. Welcome to another exciting edition of HBCU Coaches Corner. I'm the one and only Rocky Miller, and I'm joined by the former TSU head coach and SWAC legend, Johnnie Cole, and along with the FAMU freshman class of 1988 class president, Stephen Campbell.
Let's go.
Hey, before we get started, we got our guest. He's already on fire. So, but before we do that, let me ask you guys. After a marathon we did on Tuesday, how you guys doing?
Coach, I'm doing great. I'm excited. I can't wait. And I got to do the introduction for my coach. But I'm excited because a lot of people want to hear him, and what a lot of people want to hear because he's gonna be on with Johnnie Cole, SWAC legend, and we're gonna be able to really talk some X's and O's. So I'm super excited. That's what people are here for.
Well, hey, this night is dedicated to you, Coach. It's your night. It's Florida A&M Rattlers. Everything that you've been saying is coming true. They're the only black team they're sitting 2-0, taking care of business. You're a big, major supporter of Coach Colzie and keeping that Florida A&M team. Coach, you called this one. You 100, baby. I apologize for a little lateness. I had a call by HBCU Go. I'll be now handling the Virginia State Winston-Salem game with Coach Frazier there, Virginia State, and Coach Massey, Winston-Salem. I'll be coming after you guys to make sure you have your X's and O's together because I'm gonna be calling it tight.
The Rattlers are in the building, man. The Rattlers are in the building.
We here, man.
They're everywhere. The Rattlers are everywhere, Coach. So, with no further ado, I turn it over to the Rattler himself, Stephen Campbell.
Introducing James Colzie III. Be clear on that. James Colzie III, the 19th head football coach of Florida A&M University. Time to get comfortable in Colzie. Let's bring the coach up.
What's going on, guys?
Coach, we get excited on this channel, Coach. We excited, man. We this ain't no. We don't be laid back. We ready to come out. And, Coach, man, you don't have two big ones. I got to take my hat off to you, Coach. Y'all made great changes. Y'all made great adjustments. Coach, Florida A&M head coach, man, your first opportunity. How do you feel?
Well, great. I think, a lot of the, I guess experts didn't think we'd do as well as we did the first couple games. You're going against two really good head coaches, coming out with obviously with Norfolk State and South Carolina State, but happy. Obviously, you're playing two teams that you don't necessarily have all the feel that you would want on them, and coordinators did a really good job making the adjustments that we needed to make, and you're sitting here with two close games, and you're sitting 2-0. I mean, as a football team and as a staff, we're extremely happy.
Yeah. Coach, I'm gonna get in this side, and I know Coach Campbell and Rocky gonna come. Coach, you're a head coach of HBCU. Your background has no HBCU in it, and you've been around. You know your business. You know the game. You've already displayed that you're a great head coach. And I know coaching on the 1A level as you have, and of course, you've crawled before in the junior college path. Did you think it would be the HBCU give you the opportunity, or in your career, did you want to be a head coach at a PWI?
Well, I'll say this, both my parents went to Albany State. So they, I spent a lot of time at the Golden Rams over there in Albany, Georgia, from age 1 to 18 years old. So, you're always you're going to be happy with whatever opportunity that you may have. So this is the journey that I've taken, or that I'm a part of right now. You're always going to want to be a part of something, and I'm extremely happy. This is my second opportunity being as a head coach, but obviously my first one, at the NCAA level. And hey, when I came in here in 2022 and learned from what I learned while being with Coach Simmons, why not be the 19th head football coach at Florida A&M once this opportunity became available?
Yeah. Now, you coached at the PWIs, like we talked. Now you coached at the HBCUs, and everybody's trying to make a distinct difference between PWI players and HBCU players. In the field, of course, it's 53 yards wide and 100 yards long. Is there a difference? And what are the similarities of the kids that you've coached on a bigger level as opposed to HBCU level?
Well, first thing people try to mention is the resources or whatever the case may be. But I see athletes. I see athletes regardless of the level. We got guys that, our starting corner had the opportunity to go to the PWI level this past year, but ultimately decided to stay at Florida A&M. We got guys that have transferred from the PWI level, and if you ask them, they're gonna more than likely say some of the resources might not necessarily be like at the PWI level, but they will also refute by saying that the love that the student body, the love that the administration, that you truly get the respect, from the alumni, from the respect and the love from the student body, right? So there's some goods and some bads, you know what I mean. But the players that I have, they're extremely happy to be here at Florida A&M and wouldn't choose to be at any other institution, whether it was an HBCU or a PWI.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. One more question. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I was going to ask you that. Of course, coaching at the PWIs after them games and them 70,000, 80,000 fans, and when the game's over, you run right back in your car, drive. But now, when you got your own people, 18, 25, 30,000 watching you, you get to go back and see them all in the parking lot, see them after the game. They pat you on the back. How much does that mean to you, to see your mom, them, the HBCU guys? I'm pretty sure some of your friends. How does that you feel about that once those games over?
I'll use those both weekends that we just had, right? Obviously you get 1.5 million watching, our football game in Atlanta, but then you can't overstate the fans that we had while we were in Atlanta. The love that we had, the crowd noise, et cetera, et cetera. Then you come back. And then we have our home opener, packed house, Bragg Stadium, a lot on the line. South Carolina State's coming in with their great head coach and their football team. Obviously with the intention of beating us, but also ruining our streak, right? Well, we're behind. We get behind 18-7, and then once you see that touchdown to make us go up 22-18, and we kick the extra point, and you just see that entire crowd just go crazy, right? I mean, it was a surreal moment for our team, and our veterans tried to, I guess I want to say, warn some of our newer players about what the mystique or whatever that thing is whenever we play at Bragg Stadium, how our crowd is, how our band is, how everything happens in between quarters, in between plays. I mean, it's a magical place. Championship DNA all across that, not just on that field, but the fans that are surrounding it. Then after the game, then you have to wait because there's nowhere to go.
That's right.
Either you go to Perry Street or you sit in the locker room and wait until all this crowd goes down. So the last 2 weeks have truly shown our newer players, that what it's like to be a FAMU Rattler.
I got you. Strike, and strike again.
Strike again.
Coach Colzie, I want to step in here. And I know that Steve Campbell can't wait to get his questions in and whatever.
No, take your time. Take your time.
I want to ask you a few questions here, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach, going back shortly after Willie Simmons took an opportunity at Duke, there was talk. I'll just say talk about who would be the next head coach at FAMU. You were immediately named the interim. And then there are some, I'll say some, I don't know if you want to call it confusion or misrepresentation, misinformation happened during that time frame. but it was no doubt who the fan base of FAMU wanted a head coach, who the alumni wanted a head coach, and even who the faculty wanted a head coach. With a literal people standing up on the table insisting that you become the next head coach of FAMU. Does that add added pressure coming into this season where you have to be successful to make sure that those people stood up for the right reason?
Well, I'll say this: the more, you know, I won't say as long as it took, but going through that month while everything was going on, it gave me the opportunity to truly show that I could be the head coach. When I was named the interim, I had to go through making a schedule, right, for spring practice. I had to make our weight room schedule. So I grabbed the people that our strength and conditioning coach Forney, the two people that I was going to hopefully add as my coordinators. We got our schedule together. We talked about our January plan. We talked about recruiting. We put together a schedule for February for our off-season program and for spring, for our spring camp. So our AD, right, got a chance to see everything that I would be doing during that time frame, right? So going through interviews, going through all of the things that we had to go through. When I was given that opportunity to be the interim head coach, in our conversation, she's like, "Hey, coach, you're the head coach. I need you to be the head coach. I need you to keep this thing going." So every single day that went by, every minute that went by, those are the things, the decisions that I made was as the head football coach at Florida A&M, not just for the month of January, but for the near future. So, does it add pressure? I just think being the head football coach at Florida A&M is the pressure to begin with, right? You're the head coach of a team, the reigning HBCU national champions, right? And as we continue to go through this thing daily, they want to go back, and not a day goes by that talks about, "Hey, coach, we started in Atlanta, we want to end in Atlanta." The nation's longest winning streak, the home longest winning streak, all those things that goes in to be, having part of the job. That's part of the job. I understand that. But I also understand the responsibility of being the head football coach at Florida A&M. I mean, it's a big time opportunity. To me, it is the best job in the country, and I approach it like that every single day.
Hey, Coach, you weren't when you got called back to Tallahassee. I think probably in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. You're no stranger to Tallahassee. Many people may not know that you were a two-sport athlete, not only in high school but also for the University of Florida, for Florida State University. With having such a rich history, I even watched a clip earlier today where you made the clinching interception in a Florida State Miami game, Coach. So you not only were on the team, you actually played on what I would consider one of the best college football teams to ever play. With that being said, how much did that familiarity with Tallahassee and your history as a player at Tallahassee allow the city to get behind you as being a head coach? Do you think that played into a factor of you had buy-in from people that normally wouldn't be interested in who is the head coach at FAMU? You had other people who wanted you to represent Florida State University as the head coach of FAMU.
Well, I don't think it hurt. Obviously, playing at Florida State and having Coach Bowden, on my resume or as a guy that I learned from, but I will say this: I think Coach Simmons definitely hiring me, giving me the opportunity to be here, letting the alumni and the fans, see the work that not just myself but everyone had put into the program, and that was big. Obviously being here and meeting the alumni, meeting the fans, and Coach Simmons is backing, definitely helped as well. Him and I had conversations, in the past, and he knew my intentions of wanting to be a head coach again. So, the likelihood of it happening, I didn't know. You know what I mean? Obviously, nobody knew what Coach Simmons was going to be doing at the end of the season. But I will say this: when he did make the decision, and then he recommended to our athletic director, hey, the person that should be doing this should be Coach Colzie, I definitely know that helped as well. The Florida State stuff, playing and then being a grad assistant in Tallahassee. But we got a different fan base, right? We got a different fan base. I had to make sure that Florida A&M Rattlers were excited to have me as well. So being in the city was great. Yep, the newspapers and people that were kind of on both sides definitely helped. But the most important thing to me was the love of the alumni, our players, our boosters, and our student body.
With that being said, Coach, I'll turn it over to one of the esteemed alumni of FAMU at this time.
I
the freshman class president of 1988, Stephen Campbell.
No, let Coach Cole. Go ahead, Coach.
No, I just said playing at Florida State, and it's been now the head coach at Florida A&M. Well, you know where the wine was at. You know where the street. You know where the senior assistants like. Look, man, they down on Crenshaw. Go down there, get the kids.
Well, I had to go speak at the Florida State Touchdown Club today, and we had all the Knowles in there, and Vaughn Wilson got me in there. But there was about 15 to 20 Rattlers that were also in the building. And obviously Florida State's going through their own, deal as far as opening the season. But, they wanted me to talk about Florida A&M, but wanted to make reference to all the things that we did at Florida State. Well, I said, listen, hey, guys, I'm here wearing the green, I'm here wearing the orange, I'm not wearing anything garnet and gold today, and my heart and everything else that's going on right now is with FAMU. And, they gave me the opportunity. They blessed with the opportunity, and again, I have to say that I'm honored, to be the 19th head football coach, because this is a responsibility that I take very, very seriously.
Last thing, Coach, and I'm gonna let my man turn it over. All right, Coach, with your background, were you going through that? How did you get to Florida A&M? I mean, again, with your background, I know coaching. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. Were you floating? And people don't understand there's two types of coaches, one to get hired and one to get fired. Whether they tear you, whether the head coach is fired, you're fired. You're looking for a job.
Right.
So that's what I was saying were you looking for a job? And then if so, look at you now. And that's how coaching is.
I've been doing this since '99. And my journey got me into Canada for 7 years. I was the defensive coordinator at a university in Vancouver, British Columbia. We won a national championship that year. And then there's only 27 Division I schools in Canada, right? So, I got a chance then to go to another university called St. Mary's and put me in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Well, I was the head coach there for 6 years. And, I wanted to try to get back, but I had two opportunities during that 6-year term where I could have come back, and I didn't, right? And then it just worked out. One of the DB guys here left, and I felt I was like, hey man, if I don't come now, they're gonna stop asking. So get a chance to come here, and again, I had to put my head down. I had to. Figure out what Coach Simmons wanted, what he wanted, how he wanted things to be. You run your own show for 6 years, right? And then you come to somebody else's show, I had to make sure I asked him exactly what he needed from me, how he wanted me to do it. So, he made me the corners coach and defensive pass game coordinator. And again, I was on his ship. So then we go to the next year. I guess he thought I did well enough for him. Then he named me the assistant head coach and obviously gave me some administrative duties, because believe it or not, guys, as his head coach, there's more administrative duties than anything else. I'm on my desk right now. I got a lot of paperwork, and none of it's the playbook. Understanding administrative duties, making sure I wanted to make sure that everything Coach Simmons asked me to do, I wanted to do it at the maximum level. I wanted to make sure I did everything for him, so he never looked bad in anything that he asked me to do. So, doing that, obviously, and I guess I made enough of a good impression for him that when he decided to move on, that, he felt the alumni, through, the supporters here, that I would be the next best option. And I'll tell you this, I can't let him down.
Yeah, basically, Coach, you don't drove this boat before. And I'm glad that you let, a lot of people don't know that. They think you just popped up, and where he's the next guy in, and so always shouldn't. Coach, you drove this boat before. I'm gonna turn it over to my man, the Rattler himself, Coach Campbell. Go ahead.
Well, Coach. First of all, I want to thank you so much for being on. But I want to kind of give some of what the fans have been asking and talk about. First of all, I want to give you a compliment. When, like you said, when you were thrown in the fire, you didn't know this was going to happen. One of the biggest things I heard that was a compliment was that the players respected you. And I think that went a very long way of why you are a head coach. Because, Coach, you know, and Coach, you've been a player. You can like a coach, but it's better if your players respect you. And I think by our players respecting you is why we didn't have 50, 60 guys in the portal. So I think that, hey, guys, we got a lot of feedback. I think somebody might need to go on mute. I hear somebody in the background. But with that being said, Coach, I want to talk about your decisions of how you put together your coaching staff, how you decided Coach Henry being offensive coordinator, Coach Patterson, how you brought in Henry Burrs as your quarterback coach. Because like they said, even though you had been a head coach, now you're at Florida A&M. There were a lot of people that wanted the job. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people that reached out to you that wanted to be part of the Florida A&M staff. Talk about your philosophy, because what I do want to say is a lot of people say we had a different coach and we're going a different direction. What I like to say is that you built off of, and again, Coach Simmons is legendary now, and now it's your time, and you built off of that. Talk about your philosophy of putting the coaching staff together.
Well, you know, we talk about continuity, but you know, in all reality, when you lose a guy like Coach Simmons, who just wasn't our head coach, right? He was our offensive coordinator, he was our quarterback coach. So in all reality, you know, you're trying to replace three different people, you know. So you know, but I felt that it was important that whatever we were doing defensively and whatever we were doing offensively, I thought if we were going to keep, the best way to keep our players was to keep them doing the same exact thing that they had seen successful. Right, so you know me, I couldn't come in here and just start running the option. Not saying it's a bad offense, but I couldn't come in there doing that because the guys that we recruited, right, we recruited to play a certain defense and a certain offense, right? So I thought it was extremely important. I know Coach Henry was our coordinator on paper, but we all know Coach Simmons was the one that pulled the trigger as far as the calls go. But in all reality, I thought Coach Henry really, really deserved this opportunity, right? He's done a lot of good things here, and he continued to do a lot of good things here. And hey. And I'm a person, when you do well, similar to myself, when you do well and you get promoted, that was an easy transition for me in regards to Coach Henry making him the offensive coordinator. Coach Patterson, you know, believe it or not, right, he was our defensive line coach. And the best coach position that we've had at FAMU since I've been here has been our defensive line. You know what I mean? So again, a guy who's done a great job as an assistant. He was also our co-defensive coordinator, last year. Again, I just thought it was a likely fit. We want to run the 4-2-5. We want to run our quarters. We want to do everything that we've done defensively over the last 2 or 3 years since I've been here. I thought it was, again, a likely move, especially after Coach Smitty had left. The likely move was ultimately moving Coach Patterson to be our defensive coordinator. But the only thing we did change was I wanted him to coach the linebackers because I wanted him to be, I wanted him to make sure he had input with the run game, but also make sure he had input with the pass game. So those were the two guys that we named as our coordinators, right? So now we got, I obviously trying to replace Coach Simmons as the quarterback coach, a very, very tall task. Henry Burrs being one of the greatest quarterbacks in history in Canada, the relationship that I knew of him. But in all reality, I would like to say Coach Henry, right, was the one who started the conversation. He's the one that got together with Coach Burrs. He understood the importance of that position. So when they had the interview, I was always a part of it. But once I knew Coach Burrs was on the interview, it was almost a no-brainer for me as far as him, coming in, knowing the game, knowing the success that he had at not just at the collegiate level, but at the professional level, right? So he came in as our quarterback coach, great fit, understands the game, understands exactly what we need from that position. Well, Coach Patterson, after being named the coordinator, right, we needed to find a DB coach, and then we needed to find a defensive line coach. The DB coach that we ended up hiring was Coach Pope. He was a guy that played for me at West Georgia between 2008 and 2012. He knows what I want from those defensive backs because I had to coach him. So he understood what I needed, the details, the techniques. So it was a great fit for me because he was a guy that I could trust to coach them exactly the way I wanted to coach them. And then obviously we get Coach Walker, an NFL guy, guys that come from Oklahoma, great experience. A guy that's going to do exactly what Coach Patterson wanted from the front. So, we did a really, really good job with our hires, but they were guys that had to learn the system. I didn't really care how much they knew. I needed them to know what we were doing offensively for Florida A&M and what we were doing defensively for Florida A&M. And that was part of the interview process. I needed them to understand what we were doing because they were going to be the ones that had to learn it while we already had guys that already understood and knew what we wanted to do on both sides of the football. So great fit. They've done a great job for up to this point. And obviously I need them to be great men, and all those people that we hired are also great men as well.
That's awesome. Now, Coach, I want to ask you a question. When you were talking about one of the things, and you talked about Coach Simmons' offensive guru. One of the things that I've seen the first two games is the continuity. We still, and from scheme and play call, we still got guys running wide open. That means you guys are setting up plays. That means you guys are studying the opponent. So is that continuity that you're talking about, Coach Henry, knowing the play calls, knowing the offense, is that what really helping to keep us, again, keeping that offense in gear along with Dane Richardson?
Well, I'll say this. I think with Coach Henry understanding the offense completely allows him to throw in whatever he does. So, we script our first half, right? And then what we do after that, we script our second half based on what we like and what we what we don't like. Which again, to me, is great. I mean, he understands the offense. Obviously, being around Coach Simmons, but for me, obviously, with him being the offensive line coach, he plays multiple offensive linemen. He plays 9 to 10 offensive linemen in a game. You know what I mean? We got offensive linemen coming in as tight ends, right? He understands the need of making sure everyone gets involved. But as you mentioned, he does a heck of a job of setting up plays.
Coach, I want to ask you something as we getting into your coaches, whatever. When we were down at the SWAGMEAC Challenge, Coach Cole and we met you right there on the field before you got on the field, and you were doing something very.
That's the way we had to. I'm sorry, Coach. That's the only way we can catch you, Coach. We call Obama. He answered the phone. Oprah answered the phone. I told the guys, Coach, I said, man, when I get down there, I don't care where he at. I'm going to talk to him. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Coach, it was hard getting in touch with you.
Well, trust me. These darn Bill people can find me. If they can find me, everybody can find me. I don't dodge phone calls. Trust me, and I apologize for any issue that you may have had.
Hey, Coach, and you gave us your number right there on the field.
Yes, sir.
You couldn't talk to us very long there because you were doing something very interesting. I thought that was very interesting as a head coach. You were down there drilling the DBs right there on the field. Is that a responsibility of yours? Is that something you just, are you working off some nerves? What are you doing? And you really slanging that ball, Coach. So it was looking real good coming out your arm. It did surprise me that you were a baseball player, once I did my research on you.
Well, I don't want to lose the job that got me the job. You know what I mean? I've been a defensive back guy my whole life, and that's what I played. And I still coach the corners. A lot of the pass game stuff. I'm obviously in tune with what we're doing, and I'm in the meetings and things like that. I meet the corners. I meet with them when we talk about game plan, we talk about film. So, that's I've always done that. Coach Andrews, who was my defensive coordinator, a lot of people thought he was the guy that's still on the sidelines, but no, he did the drills, and our guys, and I think for them, I think that's important to them that I don't shy away from it. That's what I do. I do the ball drills when we were doing our team stuff. When we were doing like our routes on air. So, that's just, I don't think it was the nerves. I've been doing it until I can't throw it anymore. I won't do it. So, but I love doing it. Love still. That's part of my game prep that goes along with our players' game prep.
Go ahead, Florida A&M.
Okay, Coach. So, again, a lot of people, we played 2 games. We're 2-0. So talk to us about, again, and I think this is why I'm most proud of you, Coach. A lot of people, in their mind, Coach, again, like you said, you've been head coach before. But for a lot of people, they don't know your career. So they believe you're a rookie head coach, right, in their mind. A lot of people, the perception. But talk to me about when we're in those 2 games, we're behind, and the defense, and another thing, too, I think, and a lot of people know, we lost a lot of stars off of defense. You came in, brought a lot of new guys in. Talk about, because I know you talked about our linebackers, not so much we were getting blown off the ball, anything more about assignment football. Talk about how you coached the guys up at halftime in both games. And also, it's very clear that because of your demeanor, that there was no panic. So kind of talk to us, the mindset of keeping the team under control and also coaching the players up actually in a game. Because that's what a lot of people were amazed by, because when they saw us go down, there was no panic. You could just see the team. There was no panic from the coaches. Nobody was going crazy. It looked like you still was under control. Can you talk to us about that? And is that your demeanor also?
Well, I mean, there was some internal panic. I can tell you that when we got 7 in Bragg Memorial Stadium that night. But I'll say this. I mean, we work situational football all the time throughout the weeks in practice, and so, when we got down early against Norfolk, it was early. For us, it was still early. When we game prep for Norfolk, we weren't expecting a lot of the unbalance. We weren't expecting a lot of the X off. So when you go unbalanced, you got to knock the front. You got to move. You got to make that what we call a new center. So we weren't doing that, right? But with the new technology, with the iPads, we were able to see it, right, and then make the appropriate changes. With South Carolina State, similar, right? They weren't giving us unbalanced, but they were giving us some X off stuff. So it was the change that we had to make. We had to wait to get them to the sideline, and so once we get you to the sideline, we can find out what you're doing. I got trust in all my, whether it's offense or defense. I got amazing trust for those guys. We were able to do that, make the appropriate changes, right? So that was, again, having the ability to coach them up, take them to the sidelines. We even work sideline management, right? So again, things that you work on throughout the week. So once you get to the game, it doesn't surprise you. So yes, right? We had a deep ball against South Carolina State. We had a deep ball against Norfolk State. Had to change some coverages again, obviously with me being a part of the defensive staff and helping on some of the past games. So we went to a couple different coverages that South Carolina State didn't necessarily think we were going to run. So again, it's a collective effort. But our coordinators lead it, right? I talk to them. We talk about it, how we want to do it, how we want to fix it. And then we execute on the field. So again, our coordinators are doing a great job. I mean, they're also new to this. Coach Patterson, Coach Henry, Coach Gamble, who handles our special teams. We talk a lot, right? We have our coordinator meeting. We talk about how we want things to happen, and if it doesn't happen that way, we know how we want to make adjustments. So again, it's not just me. Trust me, it's not just me. It's a collective effort, and I got to make sure I give props to my coordinators and the rest of our staff.
Coach, I wanna ask you this because I've noticed something watching your first 2 games offensively, right? I believe that Willie Simmons was an innovative play caller. However, he was what I would consider a risk. He took risk very early in the game. He was more of a risky play caller. I see Coach Henry being more methodical, more deliberate, taking his time setting up his opponent. Am I correct in that assessment, or is it just been the game plan that's dictated how the flow of the game is went?
Well, I mean, Coach Simmons is a former quarterback, and Coach Henry is an offensive line coach, right? So, the mindset must be a little different. But I'll say this, we had Jordan Musa, right? We had a big time quarterback, Musa. We had him as the quarterback, a guy who had 2 years, player of the year. We could sling it up and down the field. We wanted to be methodical with a new guy, right? No matter, regardless of what the success Daniel Richardson had at the FBS level, our main strength for us is our offensive line, and we felt that we needed to make sure we try to establish a run game in these first 2 games, not try to put a lot of pressure on Daniel Richardson, because being the quarterback at FAMU does come with pressure. So, but the best position on our football team, in my opinion, this year is our offensive line. So we want to make sure we establish certain things up front. Well, maybe we can set some things up, later on down the line. So, we're a different team. We're winning differently over the last couple of years. And, Coach Henry, again, maybe a little bit more methodical, but I think a lot of it has to do with who our quarterback is and what we feel is the best part of our offense at this time.
Coach, you have to be honest. Coach, you guys don't have a game manager, Coach. You guys have a bona fide, solidified playmaker.
We knew that. We knew that, and I'll say this, and I'll be remiss without saying this though. Junior, who's second team for us, did a hell of a job this summer, guys. I need people don't really realize how close this decision was for us. And again, obviously Daniel is the one who's reaping the benefits of being a starting quarterback, but Junior did a very, very good job challenging him. And every day we went 1A and 1B. But Daniel Richardson, obviously, right now, the first 2 games, the biggest thing for me is no interceptions. and he's getting the ball to our playmakers, whether it's the running back, the tight ends, or the wide receivers. So, we're hitting different people now. We don't have that. Last year we had that bona fide guy. The year before that we had that bona fide guy. Now, we have a bunch of other people that we can throw the football to, and I love the way our tight ends are being used right now.
Well, let me say this, Coach, because the biggest thing in HBCU football this past weekend was the transition of Andrew Body and O'Brien. You kind of jumped. I was going to ask you a question about, all right, you brought Richardson in. You had a guy that's been in the program. How did you guys go about choosing, or why you guys didn't go out like ASU did and put one at quarterback and one at tailback and motioning the wide receiver? You guys sit down as a staff and made the decision. And actually, you made and I told these guys, Coach, you got some fans here. I'm the coach. And I told them, sometimes they say, well, coaches want to win, don't you? I said, no. I said, this is the most egotistical business that you can have. You got guys who don't like a cat, don't play him, and put another cat because he like. Well, anyway, let me get back to my question. What made you guys say, this is our guy? And I know you're loyal to that kid that was there. But at the end of the day, you got to put the best 11 on the football field. Winning supersedes everybody's emotions, everybody's feelings. What's your take on that, Coach?
Well, obviously Junior was a guy that had been here for the last couple of years. And then, when Musa did leave, right, there wasn't a void because we already knew we had Junior, a guy that could play for us. But, we also had a guy that was trying to find his own niche, right? Daniel Richardson had success at Central Michigan, had success at Florida Atlantic, but he wanted to come to Florida A&M. He wanted to earn his master's from Florida A&M, and so he decided to come in the spring, where obviously as Coach Simmons left, and I had mentioned earlier, Coach Simmons was 3 different phases of our football team. So we didn't necessarily have our quarterback coach in time to start spring practice. So he came in the middle. Right, we do spring practice a little bit earlier, but he came in the middle of spring practice. So we didn't want to make a decision yet because our quarterback coach and those other 2 quarterbacks didn't necessarily get an entire spring together. So we set up our OTAs during the summer. We had 75 to 80 kids here the entire summer, training OTAs on the field. Skelly on their own, and so they were put through the grind. We installed every week. We put our offense in, we put our defense in. So we were doing what we were allowed to do, but we were putting them through the gamut just so we can see what they were going to do. Then we get to training camp, right? I wanted to make sure we gave them both an opportunity, but I already knew that we were never going to run a 2 quarterback system. I was not going to do that. Not going to do that, right? So what put us over the little, put him over maybe was Junior there was 2 things that we were looking for from that position. We wanted him to get the ball out, and we wanted him to take care of the football. So that was a little bit of a gauge that went up for Daniel, and now now you're seeing the fruits of his labor right now. And again, when I say it wasn't by a lot, but Daniel was just taking care of the football just a little bit better.
Did you have any idea that Daniel Richardson would be the gamer that he is for FAMU in clutch moments, in clutch times in the game?
Well, you got a guy who threw for 7,000 yards, at the FS level. So, and you could just tell some of the trials and tribulations that he had gone through at the 2 previous institutions, right? He had success, whatever the reasons were, he was replaced or taken out or whatever the case may be. The experience level that he has, you just see it, how he carries himself, but you see it a lot more when you see him on the football field. So, he's your guy that, he's in the huddle. He's the guy in the locker room, obviously, since he took the position. And like I told the announcer, a couple weeks ago, I'm extremely happy that he's on our football team.
I'm sure this kid that he competed against is a great kid as well. How much did Richardson's attitude and the team gravitated to him and his leadership ability? I haven't met the kid, but I know if a kid is making a choice to come to a university to get a master's, he really got his mind together. Nothing against the other kid either, but how much did that role of him take to help make you guys make the decision to say this is the guy?
Well, winning games the way we've won, that can only help his locker room, attitude, or how our guys feel about him. But I mean, when you get to know him, he's a yes sir, no sir young man. And he just goes about his business. You know what I mean? He took 12 hours this summer in the master's program. He took 9 hours in the spring. He did all of that just so he could play football and still be in the master's program to graduate in the fall. So again, he got his mind made up. He's got his priorities in order, and every day he comes to work. And those are the things obviously that for us, right? That's what we needed, especially because we had a guy that did the exact same thing for the last 2 years. So the guys are seeing it. They gravitate to him. And it's hard not to. Again, it's hard not to, especially with the performances that he's had over the last couple of weeks. Winning cures a lot of things. 3 weeks ago we barely knew him. Now everybody knows him as well as they can. So but I'll say this: the way he goes about his business every single day only can help. The attitude the team has for him. They'll do anything for that young man, as he would do as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Coach, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry, Coach.
Well, let's talk turkey for a minute, Coach. Let's talk some football, because I know them Florida and them Rattlers out there, and they ready to buy their tickets to Atlanta and everything else. You're a defensive guy, Coach, and you still got that hole that they rushing somewhere, and you gotta. I know you gotta stop the bleeding. You got out of 2 games because you had 2 great running programs. If you meet a team that can mix it up a little bit, have success running, which yourself makes throwing the ball easier, does that concern you? Is that still a concern that you guys got? Because you gave up over 150 yards in rushing both games. And I know as a defensive coach, that got to eat at you, Coach.
The standard for us is under 100 yards. That's what we want to be. If we get you under 100 yards, and we feel that we're in a good spot. When people ask me earlier about what I thought my biggest loss was, I didn't say Isaiah Major. I didn't say Musa. I didn't say K-Dot. I thought our biggest loss was Johnnie. The way he commanded the middle, and we got a couple guys that we can hopefully get to that point, but General Hunt, obviously him leaving and going to another institution, we when we were trying to recruit and try to duplicate the things that he did for us, right? It was hard to go by, so now you get the you get Cameron Donald from Kennesaw State, you get Clyde Pender, who was at North Carolina. Those are things for us where, we're steadily trying to get it, right? Now, again, Major and Chaney, 2 linebackers, that one was all conference and the other one should have been all conference. We're replacing them as well. So, we got it. There's some things that we got to tidy up. I think in that first game, we might have been doing a little bit too much, but we weren't aligned properly. Like, that's the biggest thing for that first game. When they ran that counter back on that other side, we didn't have enough over there. So, that wasn't a schematic issue. That was an alignment issue. That was a communication issue. So, those are some things for us where, hey, we had to continue to work on it. University of Miami, what do you think they're going to try to do to us? What do you think they're going to try to do to us? They're going to run the football, right? So until you stop it, right, and put it on film, right, what you put on film and what teams are going to try to do to you. So for us, we know we got to work on. We're continuing to try to find out who our best 11 are, regardless of the situation, and that's those are the things that we're harping on as we get ready for this football game this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, let me soften the Florida A&M fan base. Hey, don't take it so hard on Coach. Coach just now took it over. He's got to fix that issue of running the football before y'all can hold a trophy up.
Again,
and I'm pretty sure that I know you guys are working on that.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Coach Campbell.
Now, Coach, I'm going to ask you about the Miami game because I know a lot of people want to know about that. But one of the things too that I've noticed, again, we had each team is a different personality, but it looks like, have you focused on the discipline of the team for us, not getting personal fouls, not being offside, not getting penalties? That's something that you really and your coaching staff has really worked on, because that was kind of an issue for a lot of our fans. We were very explosive, so we were able to make up those mistakes. But it seems like this year in these first two games, the penalties have gone down from a personal standpoint and just from a schematic standpoint of being offsides or you're holding and things like that.
Well, you know, we had 5 the first game and we had 6 the second. You know, we have these things that we do during training camp that we did every day, talking about the FBI. We call it football IQ. And as a coach, we would talk to the team about it. Well, I gave the first one of training camp, and my football IQ talk was about penalties. You know, I showed them the numbers as far as where we were ranked and the amount of penalties that we've had over the last couple of years. And when I was talking to the team, they couldn't believe that we had many yards that we had given up. And then we talked about, well, what if we had not given up those penalties during that time frame? What would our scores have been? You know, what would our season have looked like last year? You know, even though we went 12-1, we probably would have dominated a little bit more. So, you know, we kind of had that round table discussion about what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. You know, there's been a couple of times throughout the season I've called timeout, and we've talked about what teams are going to be trying to do to us, you know, and why they'd be trying to do it. So, you know, the guys understand it. They, you know, situations, right, how we need to handle them. We've handled them much better, even though we've had 1 or 2, right? We've handled them much better than maybe we've done in the past. But in these games right now, as close as they've been, right, you know, one penalty here, one penalty there can change a drive, could change an opportunity to score. So, you know, our veterans are doing a really, really good job of taking the lead with that. They understand how important it is to me. So, you know, from the stands or from TV, it looks like that. But believe it or not, we've had a lot of discussions, and we penalize you after practice for some of those foolish penalties that we may have had.
Hey, Coach,
now, Coach, we getting ready. Well, hold on, Rocky. Now, Coach, we are playing the University of Miami.
Yes, sir.
You're from Miami.
Yep.
What are you looking for as the team? Again, anytime the Rattlers step on the field, our goal is to win the game. But I know also as a coach, there's some things that you're trying to grow the team in. So this is going to be a step up in talent. This is going to be an opportunity for a lot of our players to get exposed to a Power 4 team, to get some tape for scouts and things like that. What are you looking to accomplish in the game versus Miami?
Of our season, you know, we know we're going against a really, really good opponent. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know, they're a good football team. And then we got one game of film on them. You know, them suckers went down in the swamp and beat Florida 41-17. I mean, I ain't gonna sit up here and lie to them. You know, they watch film with us the entire week. They know what we're up against. So for me, I want us to play better than we played week 2. You know, that's what I want. You know, I mean, I told my coach today, I don't want us to stop coaching. I told my players today, I don't want us to stop playing. Right. So, you know, it gives us another opportunity to play, but to see what it's like, right, when you get that opportunity or see what it's like playing a big time football game. You came to Florida A&M to play in these type of games, right? And, you know, as you mentioned, if you have aspirations to play at the next level, guess what film they're going to be looking at? No disrespect to Mississippi Valley State or Alabama A&M. When he's Kendall Bowler, you want to show you could play in the next level? We're going to see how you played against Miami. Alan Smith, aspirations, wants to play in the NFL. We're going to see how you played against Miami. We got 3 or 4 offensive linemen. They want to go to the next level. Well, guess what film the scouts are going to watch? You against the University of Miami. So, you know, there's some things that, you know, I know guys are playing for, but I don't want them to do it in an unselfish way. We have a philosophy that we want on offense and defense. We have technique. We have fundamentals. Do what you're supposed to do. If your butt's supposed to be in the B gap, keep your butt in the B gap. If you're supposed to run your out route at 9 yards, run your out route at 9 yards. So, you know, I want us to play better than what we played last week. Those are the things that I would like to see, and that's what we're going to try to get to when we play Saturday.
Is this the type of game where? I'm sorry, I'm going to give you one more. I'm sorry, just one more because I just want to follow up on it, Coach. Is this the type of game where you see where the other players, the second Strain will get opportunity to also play to see what they can do. Give them some time because we've had 2 close games where maybe you didn't get a lot of players in as you wanted. Is this the type of game where, hey, maybe we can put a couple of guys in to see what they can do also? Is that possible in this game?
Well, I think we do that anyway. We always want our best 11 to be out there. So when it's 3rd and long, we got a different 11 out there on the field. When it's 1st and 10, when we're in nickel, we got a different 11 out there on the field, right? Offensively, if you've noticed, we've played multiple tight ends in different situations. We've played multiple running backs, right? So in our game, even though we start with 11, defensively we played almost 23 to 24 people. And offensively, we've almost played 24 to 25 people. So we do that anyway, right? And I continue to tell our coaches, hey, we got to continue to develop. I want to get next year's team ready this year, right? So we got guys that are playing that aren't necessarily starters, right? But when they hit the field, we want them to play like starters. So we're traveling 70, right? You're probably going to dress 105. So
That's right.
But you're exactly right. We need to continue to develop our players, right? We'll continue to do that. We'll give them opportunities to play. But I think for the most part, we've done a good job of that already, right? And I think that getting a chance to play against this type of crowd and this type of environment can only get us ready when we got to go play Alabama State. When we got to go play Jackson State. They've already been in that. They've already played in the big crowd. They did it. They're going to be able to do that Saturday. They did it in Atlanta, but it gives us continue to give us an opportunity to get ourselves ready to play big time college football in a big time environment.
Yeah. Coach, I don't know if you know about HBCU history and head football coaches. I've been around it for 40 years, man, and it's a pleasure. You belong here. You are a guy that loves these kids, love this opportunity to coach in the HBCU. The way you coach them is at a higher level. I can look in the future that as long as they have you there will be some kids that go to the next level. We've been low these last 15 years of kids actually leaving and going to the next level. I think you and your staff, man, y'all professional. Those 2 games I've seen, I can't say enough about Chennis Berry and his football team, enough about Oldham. Just love to watch the professionalism, the schemes and stuff for me. I'm back with Eddie Robinson and all those cats, man. So I want to make sure I tell you that and give you your flowers, man, and hopefully you stay around forever. But if not, I wish you well. And I just wanted to make sure that I say that, man, because a whole lot of stuff was going on during the time of hiring you and hiring somebody else, and man, I had to say that, man, they quit smiling, Coach Campbell.
Nah, but go ahead, Rocky. Go ahead, Rocky.
Go ahead, Rocky.
No, guys, I just wanted to say that, Coach, you in your first 2 games you performed. Your team has held it together in the face of adversity, and to me, that's the hallmark of a really good team. Going in, this is kind of the same kind of question, but I'm gonna get more specific. Do you see a time where you can play junior this upcoming week in the game against Miami?
So every morning, well, I won't say every morning. The morning before we play, we have what we call play the player meetings, and then when that happens, it's right after breakfast. We sit around for about an hour and we talk about certain things that we want to happen in the game. How many, I want my coordinators and position coaches to come in and tell me who they're thinking of playing, right, and how much and when. So when that grade sheet comes out and you told me that this guy was going to play this amount of plays, right? Then I want to see that. I want to be able to see that, right? So, and I'll say this: in our first 2 play the player meetings, it was the opportunity was we wanted to get Junior in the football game. We wanted to play him, right? Well, then now we get to the first game and we talk about when we want to do it. Well, hell, we're down 14-0 now. You know what I mean? And then you get to the game against South Carolina State. We wanted to get him in then, but Daniel Richard was playing well, right? And even though it wasn't showing on the scoreboard, Richardson was doing a great job with his reads, and so we go into the game, every game, wanting to play him. We want to play him, right? So I think there's going to be a good chance to do that, but we don't want to necessarily ruin what maybe Daniel Richardson has going on, especially during those games. So
you look at what you need to know today. It's Monday, September 9th, 2024. Number 1, a mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia resulted in the deaths of 2 students and 2 teachers, with 9 others injured. The suspect's mother, Marcy Gray, contacted the school half an hour before the shooting to warn them of a potential emergency involving her son. His father, Colin Gray, was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Number 2, public health officials are expressing great concern about mosquito-borne illnesses West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis, or commonly known as EEE. Reports indicate EEE cases have been reported in the Northeast, communities in Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire on high alert about the serious disease. EEE is described as rare but very serious virus that can cause severe swelling of the brain. Symptoms include fever, headaches, body aches, vomiting, and behavioral changes. According to the Center for Disease Control, or CDC, an estimated 30% of those affected by EEE will die. Number 3, a person in Missouri has been infected with bird flu, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Friday. The adult, who did not have known contact with poultry or dairy cows, was hospitalized on August 22nd and has since recovered. This case adds to growing anxiety about the risk of bird flu spreading among humans, especially since this is the first infection in a person in the U.S. who did not work with poultry or dairy cows. Number 4, Colby Barker, a black student at Park Hill High School in Kansas City, Missouri, was suspended for 7 days after confronting a peer who used a racial slur and sexually harassed his female friends. Barker's reaction, pinning the student against the wall, led to his suspension, though he is the only one facing consequences. Following the event, about 50 students held a walkout protest September 5th, calling the suspension unjust, while the school district stated the incident is under investigation and reiterated its stance against racist behavior. Number 5, it's Ministry Monday, and did you know angels are spirits created by God to serve his purposes? They are intelligent, emotional, and spiritual beings with no bodies. The good angels worship God and are messengers to his people. The word angel itself means messenger. Angels also wage spiritual battles against evil forces that walk amongst us every day. They block things you don't even see coming. Read more about angels in today's Ministry Monday. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. With a growth mindset, one understands that failure is a necessary step toward achieving goals. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with our social justice contributor, Coy Malone, as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed.
My name is Danny Wilson, and I won $500 on the lunch break with AJ Jones.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.